Welcome back everyone. During the past couple of weeks, multiple reports have come out claiming that the Lakers might end up keeping Russell Westbrook. They reportedly have no intention of trading him if it would involve giving up an additional asset, meaning that they do not want to include a draft pick, a young player, or anything they deem as valuable to simply offload his contract. Which I do think is a good mindset to have, and I do agree with to some extent. But then again, I'm not sure they could hope to go very far with him on their team either. Not only in regard to how poorly he fit with them, but I'm really referring to their financial situation here. I know I mentioned this before, but they have very little money to work with, and even less of it with him on their team. Their entire salary cap is already filled from the contracts of LeBron, Anthony Davis, and Russ alone, and because of their lack of spending power, it's nearly impossible for them to put a good enough team around them to cover up their flaws. In addition to that would be putting a big challenge on new head coach Darvin Ham, who although does have a reputation of working with star players, it would not be fair to expect him to completely turn everything around here. With all of that being said though, could Darvin Ham potentially figure out how to make their quote-unquote big three fit together on the court? We will talk about exactly that in today's video, along with if they will actually end up keeping Westbrook or not. And to begin, the Lakers were obviously very impressed with Darvin Ham, even to the point where they did not conduct another interview following their final one with him. They immediately knew he was their guy, and they felt that way for a number of reasons, with one of them likely being his ability to figure out, or at the very least, being able to handle Westbrook. That was something that former head coach Frank Vogel could not do, even though you could argue that he was not given a fair shot at it either. In addition to that, Darvin Ham is getting more freedom than Frank Vogel was ever allowed. Not only is he getting to handpick his new coaching staff, but he has already gotten assurance that Kurt Rambis will not be involved in his coaching meetings, both of which are a luxury that Frank Vogel did not receive. And from that, we can expect Darvin Ham to have more overall control of their team. Whether that will translate to success or pandemonium, I'm not really sure, but actually allowing him to be their head coach, rather than in some ways being a puppet, is a very good thing for their team. But now getting back to his ability to make their big three work though, is it actually possible for him to do that? Or what can we really expect from him here? And well, that is very tough to say, because right now, we don't even know for sure if they will be keeping Westbrook. You can read into the reports all you want, but given that they could not trade him right now even if they wanted to, a lot of what is going on right now is simply them trying to gain leverage. And in the same way, that is what other teams have been trying to do by intentionally leaking that they would demand a first round pick in return for taking on Westbrook. All of that is simply leverage play, and both the Lakers, along with other teams who might actually have interest in trading for Russ, would be dumb to not be trying to do that. With all of that being said though, the rumors potentially could hold some truth, and if that happens to be true, then Westbrook could very well be a Laker for one more year. If they are unable to trade him, they are reportedly unwilling to waive him, or paying him to not play, much like the Rockets did with John Wall. If they end up keeping him, they have every intention of running it back with him, and regardless of how that turns out, a lot of pressure will be put on Darvin Ham to try and figure it out. And when I say figure it out, that does not mean winning a championship. In fact, I don't think the Lakers even believe that that could be a possibility with Westbrook on their team anymore either. What figuring it out means to me at this point would be with Darvin Ham leading them to the playoffs, not allowing Westbrook to become a public issue like he became for them last season, and overall having control of their locker room. And regardless of what ends up happening after that, I think we could deem that a win for him. Again, it's not fair to expect him to lead them to a championship, but I do think there are expectations on him to control their team, and really Westbrook in particular if they end up keeping him. Now, I would love to believe that he will be able to make their big three work, along with leading them to the NBA Finals, but I simply do not believe that is very realistic. I think he'll lead them to a better record than they had last season, and very likely to the actual playoffs, but I don't think they can win a championship with Westbrook on their team. In regard to simply making their big three work together though, you need to realize that in order for that to happen, the Lakers will first need to provide him with the right pieces. A lot of fans got angry at Frank Vogel for not being able to make their team work, but in reality, I'm not sure how you could have expected him to do that when he was given players like DeAndre Jordan and Kent Bazemore, and we need to keep that in mind with the team they provide Darvin Ham with as well, as we cannot hope for him to make it work without having good fitting players, which that in itself could become a problem, because like I referred to before, they do not have much money to work with. All they have to offer is the taxpayer mid-level exception and veteran minimum contracts, and if the taxpayer mid-level does end up going to Malik Monk, which many people think it will, all they'll have left to offer free agents are veteran minimum deals. And with all of that in mind, it will be very difficult for them to significantly upgrade their roster and to provide Darvin Ham with good fitting role players to put around their big three. I mean, maybe they could get lucky and get a few underrated players on minimum deals, but it's hard to imagine everything working out perfectly for them. And because of that, I unfortunately do not believe that even Darvin Ham can make their big three work. Now, don't get me wrong, he could certainly find a way to get them, and really Westbrook in particular, to play better, but it's not like he can work a miracle here. In my opinion, barring the Lakers finding a trade for Westbrook, I think we need to temper our expectations here, as it would be truly unfair to Darvin Ham to hope for anything more than a slight improvement. In addition to that, like I referred to before, a lot of that is completely out of his hands, and not only in regard to the players they provide him with, but with the health of LeBron James and Anthony Davis too, both of which ended up missing a lot of time last season, which is not something that neither Frank Vogel nor Darvin Ham can have absolutely any effect on. If they are actually on the court and available to play, then I do think he will do a better job with them. But again, it's not like the coach is the only factor in regard to performance. And I just want to make that very clear. Far too often, fans tend to blame the coach for every little thing that goes wrong, and I would really hate to see that happen to a first-time coach like Darvin Ham. In conclusion though, what I think the Lakers are expecting from Darvin Ham is for him to control their locker room, prevent Westbrook from becoming a problem, and maybe even finding a way to improve the fit of their team on the court, even if it would only be a slight improvement. But what do you guys think? What are you hoping for from Darvin Ham? Again, be realistic here, but what do you honestly think we can expect from him? Let me know your thoughts by commenting down below and we can talk about it there. That will do it for this video though. Big thank you to those of you who took the time to watch until the end of this video, and until the end of all of my videos in general. I really hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, be sure to drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and turn on notifications to get notified right away when I drop a new video. But as always, thank you for watching and have a great day.